Hi there, this is Anthony checking in from Spring Lake, Michigan for ethics class. I'm today talking about case study 3-6, full disclosure, the case of the morally challenged AP clerk, which is a GBV case. So the problem is Diane Hopkins is a CPA. I'm assuming she's a manager for this company. She works for a solar panel manufacturer, which has revenues about $100 million a year. She discovered misappropriation of funds in the AP department. One of the AP clerks was embezzling money by setting up fictitious vendors and paying herself. And it's estimated she stole $250,000. So $250,000 is a lot of money. It's only a fraction, obviously, of the $100 million revenue per year. It's not terribly material to the financial statements. However, it is fraud, so it's definitely a very egregious problem. She reports this problem to John Stanton, the CFO. He and Diane immediately decide that they need to fire this AP clerk and report the matter to the police. And then in the evening, John calls David Lasky, who is the CEO and also the majority shareholder. When he brings this up to David Lasky, the CEO, he says, well, it might not be prudent to report this fraud to the police or to report it on our financial statements because we're in the process of going through an initial public offering, taking the company public. So now we have a problem. John and David disagree on how to proceed. Diane obviously also agrees with John that it would be best to report the matter to the police, whereas David, the CEO, thinks that they shouldn't go there. So who are the stakeholders? Whom are the CEO and CFO responsible to? I would say the current investors or shareholders are the most important because they've invested in the company. The employees obviously are staking their future on the success of the company. Customers also want to know that their warranties will be good if the product is defective in the future. Future and potential investors, obviously anyone who's reading the financial statements will want to know that those are accurate if they make the decision to invest. And then also lenders. Obviously, if the banks decide to invest money or lend money to this company, they want to make sure that they are going to be repaid. So another question is, according to the AICPA Code of Conduct, will John and David be in breach of the integrity and due care requirements? So again, I go back to the concept here that the amount, $250,000, may be considered, immaterial to the financial statements, but it is fraud. So the regulations require that it be put on the financial statements and disclosed to the investors, stakeholders. They would both be in breach of the integrity requirement. They know about the problem, and if they knowingly decide not to report the issue to the police, not to report the issue on the financial statements, they will be committing a lie. The due care requirement also would be in breach because they're intending to deceive the investors. Clearly, that is David's intent. So what can John do to convince David if David doesn't listen? Well, first, I would say that it would be important for him to talk about the fact that it's required to report this issue on the financial statement because it is material due to the fact that it is fraud. Most importantly, David could be held liable if he is defrauding investors, and civilly or even criminally liable if it comes to light that he was basically stealing people's money by letting them invest in a company that had committed fraud. Who could John rely upon to help him convince David? I would say it sounds like Diane is probably lower on the totem pole. She's probably not, you know, at the same CEO, CFO level. But I would think that it would be a good idea for him to bring Diane into the conversation, at least in a limited capacity. I would also say that it would be potentially possible for him to talk to some of the stakeholders, other employees, lenders, which levers are available to him. Well, again, I think the most important thing to try to convince David of is that he ultimately bears personal responsibility. He could be held liable. And if he doesn't drop the matter, I would say John would probably want to consider resigning, or, you know, maybe something less drastic would be to talk to other people in the company about the issue. But obviously, there's only so much you can do if you disagree with the CEO of a company. So ultimately, he may have to resign or report the matter to the authorities if it came to that.